The Sutra of Loving-Kindness opens with the Buddha's gentle yet powerful guidance on how one should dwell in the world, with a heart wide as the sky, limitless in its embrace. It invites practitioners to extend kindness to all beings, not merely as a passing thought, but as a constant presence in every breath. The text teaches that compassion is not selective. Just as the sun shines without choosing whom to bless with its light, so too should the heart radiate care without boundaries. The Buddha uses vivid imagery, urging us to guard others as a mother protects her only child. This comparison dissolves the notion of separation, showing that love in its truest form asks for no return. It is not clinging, nor is it indulgence. It is the quiet strength of selfless concern. Within these verses, we find a practical path. Cultivate thoughts of goodwill while standing, walking, sitting, or lying down, whether awake or in dreams. By repeating this practice, compassion becomes not just an idea but the very fabric of awareness. It weaves through words, thoughts, and actions until hostility fades like shadows at dawn. The sutra reminds us that such love is not naive. It does not deny suffering, but transforms how suffering is met. Anger, resentment, and fear lose their grip when compassion stands firm. To walk with loving kindness is to live in harmony with all beings, unshaken by the storms of life. The Heart Sutra takes us to the very core of Buddhist wisdom, presenting emptiness not as a void but as a revelation of interconnection. In this brief yet profound text, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, teaches that form is emptiness and emptiness is form. These words are like a doorway, challenging the mind to release rigid ideas of existence and non-existence. The teaching dismantles the illusion of separateness. What we call self is a collection of ever-changing elements: body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. None of these can stand alone. Each depends on countless conditions. In this light, emptiness is not negation but fullness, the reality that everything arises together, inseparable and interwoven. The Heart Sutra also shifts the way we see suffering. Pain, fear, and even death lose their finality when understood as impermanent processes. Just as clouds drift and dissolve into the sky, so too do experiences pass without a fixed core. Liberation is not found by grasping but by releasing. In chanting or contemplating these words, practitioners discover a freedom that is not cold detachment but profound intimacy with all life. To see emptiness is to recognize that nothing is truly isolated, and therefore nothing is beyond compassion. Emptiness and compassion become two sides of the same truth, guiding one toward fearless wisdom. The Heart Sutra is short enough to recite in minutes, yet it contains a universe of insight. It whispers that enlightenment is not far away. It is hidden in the very fabric of what we already are. The Diamond Sutra sparkles with paradox, cutting through illusions like its namesake blade. Spoken as a dialogue between the Buddha and the disciple Subhuti, it unravels the subtle ties of attachment that bind the mind. The teaching insists that the highest generosity is giving without clinging, not even to the idea of being a giver or to the expectation of gratitude. Here, the Buddha shows that wisdom is not about holding concepts but seeing through them. Even teachings themselves are like rafts, useful to cross the river of ignorance, but not to be carried once the shore of awakening is reached. Clinging to the notion of self, others, or even enlightenment becomes a trap. The sutra encourages letting go again and again until the mind rests in freedom. A recurring theme is the vastness of the Bodhisattva's vow. To save countless beings, one must first see that there are, in truth, no fixed beings to be saved. This is not cold denial but a shift in vision, seeing beings as flowing, impermanent processes rather than solid entities. The compassion that arises here is boundless, free from calculation. The Diamond Sutra stirs wonder because it refuses to fit into neat categories. Its words are like riddles designed to break the mind's grip on certainty. And in the space left open, clarity shines. It reminds us that real wisdom is not something to possess. It is the letting go of possession itself. The Lotus Sutra blooms with the promise that enlightenment is not the privilege of a few but the destiny of all. Its imagery is radiant, a single great vehicle carrying every being across the ocean of suffering, like a magnificent lotus that rises unstained from muddy waters. The sutra proclaims that beneath the layers of ignorance and doubt, every person holds the seed of Buddhahood. In its stories, the Buddha reveals skillful means, tailored teachings that meet beings where they are, like a wise physician prescribing medicine suited to each illness. These parables remind us that the Dharma is not rigid. It adapts with compassion to guide each seeker. The burning house parable, for instance, illustrates how the Buddha lures beings away from danger by offering teachings that they can accept, gradually leading them toward ultimate truth. The Lotus Sutra also emphasizes the eternity of the Buddha's presence. The Buddha is not confined to history but is an ever-living reality, appearing in countless forms to guide beings. This teaching dissolves despair, assuring us that the Dharma never truly disappears. For practitioners, the sutra is a call to courage. It declares that even those who doubt, struggle, or falter still hold the jewel of awakening within them. Faith and perseverance water that seed, allowing the flower of enlightenment to open. In its pages, hope itself becomes sacred, a reminder that liberation belongs to everyone. The Dhammapada Sutra stands apart in its simplicity, a collection of concise verses that capture the Buddha's wisdom in words as sharp as arrows and as gentle as rain. Each verse is like a mirror, reflecting back the truth of human conduct and the consequences that follow. Rather than elaborate philosophy, it speaks directly to the heart and to everyday life. The sutra emphasizes the law of cause and effect. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. Though brief, such lines reveal an entire path. A mind stained with anger or greed creates suffering, while a mind guided by kindness and clarity gives birth to peace. The verses call us to take responsibility for the inner seeds we cultivate, since every thought eventually blossoms into action. Ethical living forms the backbone of the Dhammapada. Nonviolence, honesty, moderation, and mindfulness are not abstract ideals but practices woven into each step, each breath. By living in harmony with these principles, one gradually untangles the knots of craving and aversion. The verses also remind us that external wealth or titles mean little compared to mastery of the self. A conqueror of cities wins fleeting glory, but the one who conquers anger and ignorance achieves lasting freedom. Through its brevity, the Dhammapada offers clarity, a distilled essence of the Buddha's path that can be remembered, repeated, and lived. The Sutra of Infinite Life unveils the boundless compassion of Amitabha Buddha, whose vow to create a pure land of peace offers hope to all who suffer. In this vision, the Pure Land is not merely a distant paradise but a symbol of the limitless potential of awakening. It is described as a realm where no pain or conflict exists, where beings are nurtured until they themselves reach enlightenment. At the heart of this sutra lies Amitabha's great vow, that anyone who sincerely calls upon his name with faith and devotion will be reborn into his land of bliss. For many, this teaching has been a source of profound comfort, especially in times of fear or uncertainty. It suggests that liberation is not reserved for saints or scholars, but is available to anyone who turns their heart toward it. The sutra also teaches the power of faith, trust, and aspiration. Faith is not blind belief, but the opening of the heart to possibilities greater than one's own doubts. To chant Amitabha's name is to remember compassion itself, to align the mind with an infinite source of light. The Pure Land can also be understood inwardly, as a state of clarity and peace cultivated within. In this sense, the sutra invites us to create a pure land here and now, in the way we speak, act, and care for others. Amitabha's promise becomes a mirror of our own deepest potential for kindness. The Sutra of Golden Light radiates with the luminous energy of truth and protection. It teaches that harmony in the world arises when rulers, communities, and individuals align their actions with virtue and wisdom. The sutra presents a vision in which ethical conduct and devotion to the Dharma safeguard not only personal well-being but the stability of entire nations. Its verses describe the power of the Buddha's teachings as a shield, dispelling fear, ignorance, and calamity. Just as the sun illuminates every corner of the earth, so does wisdom spread clarity, guiding hearts toward peace. The sutra emphasizes that spiritual cultivation is inseparable from responsibility. Compassion and moral action create ripples that extend far beyond oneself. Bodhisattvas and enlightened beings appear as radiant guides, exemplifying how one can live in harmony with the principles of truth. Their presence reminds practitioners that no effort in the service of goodness is wasted, and that even small acts of kindness contribute to the collective light. The sutra also inspires courage. It shows that facing adversity with mindfulness and ethical clarity transforms challenges into opportunities for growth. Protection here is not a magical shield, but the natural result of living in alignment with Dharma, of embodying virtues such as patience, generosity, and discernment. In contemplating this sutra, one feels the warmth of a golden radiance, a reminder that enlightenment is both personal and universal. The light within each heart can illuminate the world. The Nirvana Sutra presents the Buddha's final teaching, a profound revelation of liberation and ultimate peace. Unlike other sutras that focus on methods or stages, this text illuminates the enduring truth of the Buddha's nature and the permanence of the Dharma. It assures practitioners that beyond the cycles of birth and death lies a state of unshakable calm, untouched by suffering or impermanence. Central to this teaching is the idea that the Buddha nature is inherent in all beings. Liberation is not an external gift, but the uncovering of what has always existed within. The sutra describes nirvana not as annihilation, but as the fullness of awareness, the cessation of ignorance and craving, and the realization of boundless compassion. The text also emphasizes ethical and spiritual cultivation. By practicing mindfulness, moral discipline, and meditation, one gradually harmonizes with the eternal truth. Yet it continually reminds us that striving itself must be free from attachment. The pursuit of awakening is not a goal to cling to, but a path to live fully. Through its verses, the Nirvana Sutra dissolves fear. Death, loss, and change are seen not as threats, but as natural transformations within the flow of existence. By embracing this perspective, practitioners experience serenity, clarity, and profound trust in the unfolding of life. Ultimately, the sutra reassures that peace is not distant or conditional. It is the ever-present essence of reality, awaiting recognition within every heart. As the final echoes of the Nirvana Sutra settle, we allow the mind to rest in gentle awareness. The teachings of the sutras have guided us through the vast landscapes of compassion, emptiness, wisdom, hope, and illumination. Each sutra offered a lens through which to see the world and ourselves more clearly. The boundless heart of loving-kindness, the interwoven reality of the Heart Sutra, the liberating sharpness of the Diamond Sutra, the universal promise of the Lotus Sutra, the practical guidance of the Dhammapada, the radiant hope of the Pure Land, and the protective brilliance of the Golden Light, all culminating in the serene certainty of nirvana. Take a deep breath and feel the continuity of these teachings as a gentle stream flowing through your consciousness. In each moment, the principles of the Dharma are alive and accessible. Compassion, wisdom, and mindfulness are not distant ideals but seeds already within you, waiting to flower. Let each inhale remind you of clarity, each exhale release tension, judgment, and fear. As night deepens, imagine the teachings wrapping around you like a soft, warm light, dissolving all worries. There is no rush, no need to grasp. The sutras remind us that understanding grows gradually, naturally, with patience and presence. Even simply witnessing their words is an act of awakening. Rest now in the serene embrace of the Dharma, carrying the peace of these teachings into dreams. The eternal truths of the Buddha's words are never lost. They exist in every heartbeat, every breath, guiding you softly toward liberation and calm.